Many CELPIP candidates have good English skills but still score low on the reading test. They struggle to find the correct answers and don't manage to finish the reading test on time. High-scoring candidates use a completely different approach. They don't just read and look for the answers. Instead, they use a reading strategy that saves time and helps them find the correct answers quickly. This is the approach candidates use inside our CELPIP packages. They discover how strategic preparation can make a real difference in their results. In this video, you'll get 10 essential tips for scoring high across all 4 parts of the CELPIP reading test. By the end, you'll know what it takes to score high and how you can get there. Let's start with tip number 1. Understand what each of the 4 reading parts is actually testing, because each one works differently. Part 1 is called Reading Correspondence. It features an email between 2 people in an everyday social or work situation. Part 2 is Reading to Apply a Diagram, where you look at a visual like a flyer or brochure alongside a short email. Part 3 is Reading for Information. It is a 4-paragraph informational text about a person, place, event, or process. And part 4 is Reading for Viewpoints. This part presents an article with 2 or more opinions on a community topic, along with a reader's comment. This matters because each part requires a slightly different reading strategy. What works in part 1 doesn't automatically work in part 4. When you understand what each part is built around, you stop treating all 4 parts the same way. This helps you make smarter decisions from the moment the text appears on your screen. Tip number 2 is to read the questions before you read the text. This habit is what separates high-scoring candidates from other candidates. It is a practical step you can start taking right away. Here's why it works. When you read the questions first, you know what information you're looking for before reading the text. Instead of reading the whole passage and then going back to find the answers, you're reading with a purpose from the start. Each question gives you a target, such as a specific piece of information or a person's opinion. Your job is to locate these details as you move through the text. Going into the text with the questions in mind helps you read more efficiently and stay focused. It also helps you spend less time rereading sections you've already covered. The third tip is to use keywords to scan efficiently. Avoid searching word by word through the text. This is an effective time-saving strategy you can develop for the CELPIP reading test. Here's how it works. Before you go back to the text, identify the most important word or phrase in the question. Look for something specific and distinctive, like a proper noun, a number, or a key concept. Then scan the text quickly for that word or something closely related to it. Once you find the relevant section, read that part carefully to confirm your answer. This approach works well in parts 1 and 3. In these sections, the text can be long and the information you need is often contained in a few sentences. The key is to avoid reading the entire text again for every question. High-scoring candidates treat the text like a reference document. They go back to it with a specific target in mind, find it, and move on. This helps them stay on pace and remain accurate at the same time. When you're scanning for keywords, watch out for synonyms and related words. For example, the question might use the word costs, but the text uses expenses or fees. Train yourself to scan for meaning rather than just matching words. This is a helpful technique if you are aiming for CLB 10 or higher. Now, here is something important. Many CELPIP candidates think that knowing a few reading tips is enough to get a strong result. But it's not enough. To do well in CELPIP reading, you need to understand what each part tests and which strategies to use to find the answers quickly. That's exactly what we teach in our CELPIP packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the reading test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how the reading parts are designed and what skills they need to find the answers fast. Our CELPIP packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, mock tests, templates, and much more. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, click the link below to learn more. Let's move on to tip number 4. Understand the 3 types of questions you'll encounter on the reading test, because each one requires a different approach. The 3 types are general meaning questions, specific information questions, and inference questions. General meaning questions focus on the big picture, such as the main idea of the text or paragraph. When you see phrases like, "the article is mainly about," or "the main idea of the second paragraph is," you need to think broadly rather than look for a single detail. Specific information questions ask you to locate one piece of information. These could be a name, a date, a number, or a fact from a particular sentence. These questions reward candidates who have developed efficient scanning skills. Inference questions are often seen as more challenging because the answer isn't stated directly in the text. When you see words like probably or most likely, your goal is to draw a logical conclusion based on what you've read. Understanding the question type allows you to choose the most effective strategy before you begin searching for the answer. This small habit can help you improve both your accuracy and timing. Here is tip number 5. Watch for paraphrasing throughout the test. The correct answer usually expresses the same idea as the text, but uses different words. This is something that trips up many candidates. It's one of the main reasons candidates choose wrong answers, even when they found the right part of the text. Paraphrasing means saying the same thing using different words. For example, the text might say, "the event was postponed due to poor weather conditions." The correct answer might say, "the activity was delayed because of bad weather." The meaning is identical, but the wording is completely different. The test designers often do this. They want to know whether you've actually understood what you read, not just whether you can match words. When checking the answer choices, don't look for the answer that uses the most familiar sounding words. Look for the answer whose meaning matches the text, even if the vocabulary is entirely different. Tip number 6 is to always check both the email and the diagram when answering each question. Many candidates make the mistake of treating the email and the diagram as 2 separate reading tasks. But in part 2, you need to use both texts together to find the correct answers. The email in part 2 is a short message between 2 community members. In this message, one person explains the diagram to the other. This section usually features fill-in-the-blank questions. To answer correctly, you need to read the email and look at the matching section of the diagram. This allows you to find or verify the specific detail. Sometimes the answer comes primarily from the diagram. Other times, you need the email to guide you to the right section of the diagram. A helpful habit in part 2 is to use the keywords in each blank to locate the relevant section of the email first. Then you can cross-reference that section with the diagram. This keeps your reading focused. It also saves time by preventing you from switching between the text and the diagram without a clear goal. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 4 more essential tips for CELPIP reading parts 1 to 4. Tip number 7 is essential for part 3. Use the topic of each paragraph to navigate the text quickly. Part 3 gives you a 4-paragraph informational text and 9 questions to answer in about 10 minutes. That's not much time if you're rereading the entire text for every question. An effective strategy is to spend the first minute of part 3 reading the opening sentence of each paragraph. You should note down the main topic each one covers. For example, you might note, paragraph 1 covers early life, paragraph 2 covers career beginnings, paragraph 3 covers a major achievement, and paragraph 4 covers legacy. These brief notes can serve as your navigation map for this part. When a question asks about something specific, like when the person first became well known, you know which paragraph to check. You don't need to reread the other paragraphs. You go straight to paragraph 2, scan for the relevant keywords, and find your answer. This is an efficient and targeted reading strategy that can help you finish part 3 on time and with a strong accuracy. The next tip is essential for part 4. Keep track of each person's opinion separately as you read. Part 4 is often considered a challenging reading section. This is because the text includes multiple viewpoints on a community issue. Many questions then ask you to distinguish between these different perspectives. Candidates who read part 4 without tracking the opinions often end up confused about who said what. This confusion can lead to avoidable mistakes. A simple strategy is to jot down the name or label of each person whose opinion is discussed. You should also include 1 or 2 keywords that capture their main position. For example, you might write something like, Rivera supports the new policy and says it saves money, while Chen opposes it and says it's unfair to small businesses. These quick notes don't need to be detailed. They just need to give you enough information to answer questions like, Rivera would most likely agree that, without having to reread large sections of the text. The second text in part 4 is a reader's comment on the article. Pay close attention to the tone of this comment. Specifically, look for whether the reader agrees or disagrees with any of the opinions in the article. This is often what the fill-in-the-blank questions in the second text are testing. Let's continue with tip number 9. Watch out for trap answers. This tip applies to all 4 of the reading parts, but it becomes especially important in parts 3 and 4, where the texts are longer and more complex. Trap answers are designed to look correct at first glance, but they distort or misrepresent what the text actually says. The most common type of trap answer uses words directly from the text, but changes the meaning in a subtle way. For example, the text might say, the project faced significant delays before it was eventually completed. A trap answer might say, the project was never completed. This answer borrows the idea of delays from the text. However, it draws a false conclusion. Candidates who read too quickly and rely on familiar words rather than actual meaning will choose this answer without realizing it's wrong. Another common trap involves answer choices that are generally true or logically possible, but not actually supported by the text. Your job on the reading test is to choose the answer supported by what you've read. You should not rely on what you already know about the topic or what seems reasonable from a real-world perspective. Always go back to the text and confirm your answer against what is actually written there. Finally, here is tip number 10. Never leave a question blank. This is a simple rule, but it's one that many candidates forget under the pressure of the reading test. There is no penalty for an incorrect answer on the CELPIP reading test. Every question left blank is a guaranteed 0. However, every question you answer gives you a chance of getting it right. If you're running low on time or genuinely unsure about an answer, use the elimination strategy. Check all 4 answer choices and rule out any that are clearly wrong. Eliminate options that contradict the text, use details from the wrong section, or go beyond what is actually written. Eliminating even a few options can improve your chances. When you notice that your time is almost up, Make sure every question is answered before the timer runs out. In each reading part, you can change your answers as many times as you like until the time is up. However, once the part ends, you can't go back. So make your best choice, answer everything, and move forward. These are 10 tips you must know to score highly across all 4 parts of the CELPIP reading test. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, check out our CELPIP packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, mock tests, templates, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their CELPIP score too. See you in the next video!